Hey guys, this is Paul Del Vecchio, Triple E Productions, and this is a behind-the-scenes look at the first episode of Afermath, entitled Awake. Let's jump right in. Conceptually, I wanted this series to be a little bit more than just your typical horror or zombie film. The idea was to have the whole film feel very mysterious, and also with great character and story. I didn't want it just to be about violence and action, and so I worked really hard when writing the scripts to make it very mysterious and have a very mysterious kind of feel, but also maintain some good character stuff as well as some action, hence the coming out of the bag. I wanted people to wonder what's going on here. Why is he coming out of a bag? Why was he put in the bag? Why is his head bleeding? And so I wanted to make it very mysterious, and these elements sort of add to that, where he just wakes up in a wide open field, no one's around, and yet all these weird things have happened to him, and he has some items in the bag with him.
And I need a shot of you actually getting up.
Okay.
And I have to say that's one of the reasons why I like these smaller cameras, is that you can basically get shots that you wouldn't ever be able to get with a larger camera or even a medium-sized camera.
No, I gotta unzip it and then I gotta push the camera out.
Yeah.
So here you could actually see that I'm kind of in the bag itself, and we're trying to work out the logistics of making it look like he opened up the bag from the inside and then is pushing out of the bag.
Okay, unzip it. One more time. I got the trees there, but...
So here's a fun little trick on a whip pan to correct the rolling shutter. I actually just dropped this effect in Premiere onto the shot, and it actually fixes it. So on DSLRs and things like the 5D and 7D, the rolling shutter is actually pretty bad. On a whip pan, you can easily fix it inside Adobe Premiere. One of the things we had to do in this scene was people removal. There's not supposed to be anyone in the park with him. That's part of the world. It's a deserted world where most of the people who existed are now dead. And so we had an issue with people being in the park while we were shooting. So we had to take them out in post. Here you can see that there's someone walking in the background there. So what we did was, moments later, that person would clear that section, and then we would just take a still frame, cut and paste it, put it on top, and track it into the shot. These were all hand-tracked for some reason. I don't know why I hand-tracked them. I think it was because it was handheld, that it was just maybe too complicated for a point track, and so I opted just to hand-track it because it wasn't too many frames. It's not perfect, but let's be real. No one's looking back there anyway. They're looking at the main character. Here you'll see that the image is actually scaled up. It's not at 100%, it's a variable scale throughout the shot, and we did this because there was actually someone in the shot off to the left once the camera turns around. Now you'll see him walking here, and he occupies most of the left side of the frame once he starts moving here. And you can see from the outline of the actual shot that we scaled it up quite a bit. Actually, it wasn't really too bad because it was only 125%, and that's the original. But if we zoom in, you can see someone walking there on the left. What I opted to do was just do a dynamic scale and reposition of the camera, and what that did was zoomed in and allowed us to crop that person out. Now, of course, the shot was actually shot a little wider, but I think that it looks better when it's zoomed in because we get more of a medium shot. As you can see here, it's kind of a little closer, and I think you feel a little bit more connected to him because you see his face and his reaction just a little bit better. So I think it works out. Or maybe I'm just being lazy and telling myself that. This shot here, the flare in the upper right corner before he steps in, that's actually computer generated. That was something I wanted to do because the sun was not lining up. It was behind a cloud on that shot, and that was generated in After Effects through Optical Flare's Video Copilot. And so was this shot. Now you can see that the flare actually moves, and so what I did was I tracked the camera, applied optical flares to a 3D light so that the camera movement would translate with the 3D flare, and it would look like the actual light source was there on set and that the flare is moving with the camera movement. That's actually corn syrup, chocolate syrup, cornstarch, red and blue food coloring, and a bunch of other shit to give you instant diabetes. That head wound that you see right here, that's actually modeling wax. I used to be a special makeup effects artist, and so here's a little progression of the wound as we're applying it. Now you can see that really it's just building up modeling wax to kind of extend his head a little bit, and then what you can do is add a darker color inside this slice that you make in the modeling wax, and you want to make sure that the modeling wax matches your actor's skin color, and you can just apply makeup on top of the wax in order to do that. You can seal it with liquid latex, but in this case, the modeling wax matched our actor's skin pretty closely, so we didn't really have to apply any makeup at all. And plus there's a lot of blood, so it kind of just covers up a lot of the imperfections. And then one of the most important things is really just adding that dark color inside of the slice, inside of the wound, so that you get that depth on camera. And of course the blood. Lots of blood.
Hey! Hey! Hey!
So this blood spray out of the back of his head, we actually did that practically on set. Yeah, I mean, it looks good, but it was a pain in the balls to deal with. We actually had a garden sprayer, and we had to pump it up and fill the tube with blood and hope that on release it would have enough built up air pressure in order to release all the blood in the tube. That being said, I am a fan of doing it practically on set and not in post-productions and compositing, because it just looks more realistic. It reacts to the light that's on set, and it just looks better. It always looks real because it is real. But what a pain in the ass it is to deal with.
I didn't get that.
Yeah, it came out late.
That was off.
When it works great. But when it doesn't work, and most likely it won't work more times than it will work, it's just a pain in the ass to deal with. But we thought it would be worth it, so we did it. And looking back, I definitely do think it is worth it.
Oh, good.
So this shot was actually flopped or flipped in post-production. As you can see, he doesn't have the head wound or the entrance wound for the bullet. So Dave went out and found this really nasty animal wound that you see right here. It's really gross. And we just cut out the surrounding areas, blended it in Photoshop. I think we feathered the edges, added some color around the wound inside of After Effects, and that's multiple layers in order to get just a random pattern of color that looked like bruising. And then we took a little drip of blood, cut it out, and put it in there. And I think it really works. It looks really good. You could actually get away with doing a lot of stuff in post-production through compositing and stuff like that, and it actually looks really good. You just have to know how to blend it into the original footage. You're going to have to blur it, and you're going to have to feather the edges and make sure the light angle is right on it. But if you get all that stuff, it actually can look really good. So this is Paul Del Vecchio, Tripoli Productions. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more Aftermath episodes coming very soon, and more behind-the-scenes looks inside the production and post-production of Aftermath, including a behind-the-scenes for the second half of this episode. If you like this video, please subscribe. Paul Del Vecchio, Tripoli Productions. Talk to you soon. But yeah, and now we're going to head over to the final location, the basement, and we're going to do some more ADR. We should be done with the shoot for today, and we should be done with episodes 1 and 2.
And how many mosquito bites do you have at this moment?
I have a lot. I got one on my head right here.
I've got like 12, dude. I'm scratching right now. I can't hold the camera still. Let's get the f*** out of here before we die of blood loss.